Again with another video, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to sign unsigned applications on Android, and the fact that manually embedding payloads in applications does work as sort of a backdoor. Now this video is going to be the sort of a continuation to the live stream video that I made just prior to this video. So for those of you who haven't checked it out, I recommend watching the live stream. I essentially covered how to embed Msfvenom payloads or Meterpreter payloads within legitimate Android applications manually, so not automatically, but actually explaining the process. So many of you actually asked me whether or not that application will work after I've embedded the payload manually, and indeed I'll show you that right now. So if you remember where I left off, I was in the dist folder in the original application that we decompiled, which was the Google launcher, the Google Now launcher. So what we did is we decompiled it, and then we also decompiled the payload that we created with Msfvenom, and then we essentially embedded that payload within the decompiled Google launcher, and then we finally recompiled it with APK tool, and this was the APK that we were given right over here. Now again, I used one of these APK sites to get it, and I used a legitimate application just to show you that it will work. Now, a disclaimer is that you need to understand embedding payloads within legitimate applications will work to some extent, and I'm going to be demonstrating my experience, and this is the first time I'm doing it after a long time, for a few years. So I'm also keen on testing the security of Android right now. So it should actually tell me that the application is not safe to install because of these signatures. I'll explain signatures in the next application when we talk about signing with zip-align. In this video I'll focus on signing on Android. However, this application should install because it is using it is a Google application, and I'll explain why that is. So it should detect that this is unsafe to install. However, on previous versions of Android, you should be able to get an install without any issue. What you find nowadays is that Google has integrated a scanner after you install an application or sideload an application. So it all comes down to what you want to do with the application. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to transfer this on my device via my, I'm just going to set up a quick I'll just start up the Apache server here. Serve the Apache to start, and we'll copy that to the var www html folder. So we'll just say copy and com.google, yeah, var www html, and we'll copy it into that directory. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start up. I've already started up, so we don't have to waste time. So I'll start up MSF console here, and what I'll do is I'll use the exploit handler. Exploit multi-handler, and then we'll set the payload, and I remember the options appropriately. So Android Meterpreter, this is the payload that we had generated and decompiled and embedded within the Google Now launcher. Meterpreter and reverse TCP, that's what we used. I'd recommend always using HTTP or HTTPS, but this is just for demonstration purposes. So show options, and then we're going to set the L host here to my to the Kali operating system's IP. And again, a lot of you are asking for port forwarding. Don't worry, they're all coming. I want to cover every bit of it. 192.168.1.108, and we hit enter. Set L port, L port, that was set to port 1234, and we can finally hit run. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up my mobile device now, and you should see the screen recording. It should come up any moment now, so I'm just going to start it up. Give me a second, and I will hit start, and I'll open up my web browser and reload my IP, the Kali Linux IP where the web server is running. So you can see 192.168.1.108. So you can see it on the screen now, and if I zoom in, you'll see that particular application here is being hosted on a Debian server. So what I'll do is I will run now the listener here, which is going to be a reverse TCP handler running, and you can see the IP and the port. So I'm making anything up. So I will click on the application to download it, because this is just a simple web server. So you can see it's downloading. I will open up the file here, and I'll show you that you can install it. You can install it without signing it. So there we are. The permissions that we had set are already there. So you read call log, and these are things that would typically not alert a standard user, especially when you have an application like the Google Now launcher. You'll pretty much say, well, yeah, a launcher does need this. So I'm just going to hit install, and the scanner should come up any moment now. So there we are. It's going to tell you blocked by Play Protect, and I'm just going to hit install anyway, and there we are, Google Now. So it's going to scan. This is the default Google scanner, and there you are. So you can see it's going to tell you that the application is safe, which is pretty weird. So I'm just going to open it up here, and immediately we get the interpreter session. And because it's telling me that I have the Poco launcher as my default launcher, you can set the default one. So there we are, you can see that I have the interpreter session, and I'll just stop the recording here, and you should have seen that I've stopped it. And now if I just type in sys info and I hit enter, and there we are, you can see I'm running the latest version of Android as for stable release, which is Android 9. And if I just change into my directory, the SD card directory, you can list the files in here. You can see all my files here. Some of them will be blurred for safety and security, but there you are. That is essentially how to use the interpreter, how to essentially manually embed payloads into legitimate applications, and how to get them installed. And you can see we did get a notification. So obfuscation is going to be very important. That's something I'm very keen on doing, so I'll be making follow-up videos on that. So the last thing that I want to show you guys is you should see my Android screen coming up. And the thing about the launcher is, until the person sets the launcher permanently, the interpreter session can also be terminated in case I go back to my default launcher. And that's why you need to learn how to set up persistence, and that's also a video I'll be making on that's also a video that I'll be working on. Alright, so let's talk about signing applications. So on Android, if I just start the screen recorder, I have a fantastic application here. The link will be in the description. You can see it's called APK Signer. It allows you to essentially sign all APKs with varying key stores that you have. So I have a default key store here. So you can generate your very own key stores. And if you want to sign an application, I can just hit launch. Sorry about if you saw that advertisement. So you can see in my downloads folder, this is the COM Google Launcher. If I just select it, it'll tell me where it wants to save the signed APK here. So I'll just hit save. And there we are, it's going to generate a signed APK for you. So for those of you who are modifying other applications, or you've embedded other applications that you've embedded payloads in other applications and that require signing, then you can also use this application on your Android device to sign it. Now the next video, I'm going to be showing you how to automatically embed payloads with Msfvenom and a few other tools. Then I'll be showing you how to sign them on Kali Linux. Alright, after that I'll show you how to set up persistence. And the final video in this series is going to be how to set up port forwarding. Alright, so that's pretty much going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or suggestions, let me know in the comment section on my social networks or on the forum, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace, guys.